So the White House Correspondents' Dinner has sure got people talking. Joe Biden got up and he made jokes at his own expense and he laughed at himself. He also turned the tables and made some jokes about Donald Trump. And of course, Donald Trump just came unglued because his ego is so fragile he can't stand to have a joke cracked about him. Our good buddy D Knight is back here today to walk you guys through the White House Correspondents' Dinner and show you all the cool clips of everyone cracking the jokes. But you guys be sure to go follow his channel. It is Pardon the Insurrection Podcast. Let's get his subscriber count up there where it needs to be. And you guys let him walk you through now the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
The 2024 election is in full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man running against a 6-year-old. Well, I feel great. I really feel great.
Hey, this is D Knight from the Pardon the Insurrection Podcast, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, on behalf of my good friend, Mr. Tennessee Brando. We are both heartbroken and despondent over the fact that we weren't invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but that's okay. We have you guys, and you can make us feel better if you hit that subscribe button and help us get to 200,000 subscribers. And as you can see there, that was President Biden attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner and rolling out red carpet level jokes for his predecessor there, comparing himself to his predecessor's, well, immature behavior, to say the least. I'm glad Biden is no longer pulling punches. The campaign is in full swing here. And of course, you know, there's nothing wrong with a few good-natured pokes and jabs at your opponent who's argued in front of the Supreme Court that he would like immunity to have you assassinated. Still insane. I don't know how, that's not a bigger story, but alas, here we are. But that wasn't all that President Biden had to say about former President Trump.
But look, age is the only thing we have in common. My vice president actually endorses me.
Man, how insane is it that Trump tried to hang his vice president like he was a black man in the 1950s? Like, how do we just move on from that? That is absolutely wild. But President Biden also had something to say about it. Trump's public speaking prowess as of late.
I'm campaigning all over the country. Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina. I've always done well in the original 13 colonies. And speaking of history, did you hear what Donald just said about the major Civil War battle? Quote, Gettysburg, wow. Trump's speech was so embarrassing, the statue of Robert E. Lee surrendered again.
Trump's insane and nearly unintelligible support of the Confederacy was so embarrassing that Confederate monuments are starting to tear themselves down. But Trump isn't the only Republican that President Biden had a few words for.
Being here is a reminder that folks think what's going on in Congress is political theater. That's not true. If Congress were theater, they'd have thrown out Lauren Boebert a long time ago.
Sorry, Lauren. You got to hand it to Joe on that one. But with the story breaking from a New York Times insider suggesting that the top brass at the paper were ordering their subordinates to write stories in a negative light of Joe Biden because he wouldn't sit down for an exclusive interview. How insane is that? Our democracy is on the line and you're trying to slander the presidential candidate who's not trying to have you killed. Like, why are we doing this? But Biden couldn't help but take a shot at the media as well.
To all my friends in the press and Fox News, some of you complain that I don't take enough of your questions. No comment. Of course, the New York Times issued a statement blasting me for, quote, active and effectively avoiding independent journalists. Hey, if that's what it takes to get the New York Times to say I'm active and effective, I'm for it. It's okay. I have higher standards. I do interviews with strong, independent journalists. who millions of people actually listen to, like Howard Stern.
But that's not all. Saturday Night Live host Colin Jost had to get in on the fun.
That was hard-hitting journalism you saw in The Owl. I didn't know you were going to show photos of me from high school.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it's not really fair. You can't do it for President Biden because the technology wasn't invented when he was in high school. It's not really fair.
And that's how you know Trump is a sociopath, because he's never laughed at anything, let alone himself. Oh, you hadn't thought about that, had you? But Jost didn't let Trump off the hook either.
Can we just acknowledge how refreshing it is to see a president of the United States at an event that doesn't begin with a bailiff saying, "All rise"? And I would like to point out, it's after 10 p.m. Sleepy Joe is still awake, while Donald Trump has spent the past week falling asleep in court every morning. Though Fox News said he was just being anti-woke.
The irony that we're about to spend this next 6 weeks watching Trump try to stay woke in court. But let's listen as Jost points out how age is a major concern for more than just our two presidential candidates.
We are all here tonight at Nerd Prom. Well, Matt Gaetz is at regular prom, but...
Because where else could Matt Gaetz take a 17-year-old girl out in public and try and get her drunk and no one bat an eye? But let's listen to Jost here give President Biden some advice on how to handle the economy.
I do think that you can do more on the economy, sir. I really do. For example, have you considered eliminating the national debt by shorting Trump stock?
If only President Biden had jumped on that idea fast enough, the United States could have been experiencing its first surplus since the Clinton administration. But Don Corleone isn't the only member of the Trump family that Colin Jost had a few words for.
There are so many incredible individuals here tonight. Laura Trump is here tonight. Okay, I got one woo. She recently released a cover of the song "I Won't Back Down." Upon hearing it, Tom Petty died again. I can't believe I'm saying this to a member of the Trump family, but maybe stick to politics?
Personally, I think the entire Trump family should abandon politics for the music industry. It'd be pretty hilarious watching the right go to war with Taylor Swift fans. But Jost did make his way to listing off a number of accomplishments by Democratic presidents.
The problem is people are always going to compare your first term to Obama's. But I think there are actually a lot of positive similarities. You both made big strides in healthcare. Obama got us out of a recession. You got us out of a pandemic. Obama got bin Laden. You got OJ. And by the way, now that OJ's dead, who is the new frontrunner for Trump's VP? Is it Diddy?
And it took longer to get OJ than it took to get bin Laden. And President Biden pulled it off in his first term. And let's hear more from Jost about an experience with his grandfather and why he chose to vote for Joe Biden.
But my grandfather, a Staten Island firefighter, voted for you, Mr. President. He voted for you in the last election that he ever voted in. I mean, I'm sure someone else will vote twice in this election using his name, but that's just how the Democratic machine works. He voted for you, and the reason that he voted for you is because you're a decent man. My grandpa voted for decency, and decency is why we're all here tonight. Decency is how we're able to be here tonight. Decency is how we're able to make jokes about each other and one of us doesn't go to prison after. We go to the Newsmax after party.
Well, there's one presidential candidate who wants immunity for assassinating anyone who makes jokes about him. The other is Joe Biden. You guys know what to do in November. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also give it a thumbs up, please. It helps the algorithm. And feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. And you can find me on my personal podcast, Pardon the Insurrection, available everywhere podcasts are found.